everyone, and welcome to another episode of Taco Matta Tuesday, the show where we eat healthy, delicious tacos and have conversations about life. During a momentous battle, a Japanese general decided to attack, even though his army was greatly outnumbered. He was confident that they would win, but his men were filled with doubt. On the way to the battle, they stopped at a religious shrine. After praying with the men, the general took out a coin and said, "I shall now toss this coin. If it's heads, we shall win. If it's tails, we shall lose. Destiny will now reveal itself." He threw that coin into the air and all watched intently as it landed. It was heads. The soldiers were so overjoyed and filled with confidence that they vigorously attacked the enemy and were victorious. After the battle, a lieutenant remarked to the general, "No one can change destiny." "Quite right," the general replied as he showed the lieutenant the coin, which had heads on both sides. Sports lesson. You have to make your own destiny. You can accomplish only what you profoundly believe you can accomplish. So believe that you are destined to achieve big things in your sport while earning it through intelligently applying hard work. When in doubt, flip a two-headed coin. It will thus become a self-fulfilling prophecy. That is a story from the book that I've been reading, The Champion's Mind: How Great Athletes Think, Train, and Thrive. And I'm really excited for today's episode because I'm going to share 5 stories that have really resonated and landed with me, especially as I do the final bit of mental and emotional preparation over the next week and a half before competing at DECA World Championships, literally not this upcoming weekend, but the following weekend. So if you're on an endeavor, whether it be personal, professional, athletic, I'm really hoping that some of these things I'm going to share with you today are really going to land and allow for you to just build confidence as you move forward with those things. So before we jump into those stories, though, let's go ahead and talk about the taco of the week. Oh, I was out in Scottsdale, Arizona with my boyfriend's family for Thanksgiving, and it was so nice, guys. I got to take cat naps. It was amazing. But what I also got to do is go out and eat some pretty fantastic food. So, of course, the night before Thanksgiving, people go out to eat or they order in because no one wants to cook food before they have to cook food the next day. So we, of course, fell suit to that, and we tried out a place called Ling and Louie's. Guys, if you are in the Scottsdale area or you're traveling to the Scottsdale, Arizona area, you need to go and try this because it is absolutely fan-freaking-tastic. So the place itself is an Asian fusion place, and I got a wok-based meal, and it was a surf and turf. So that all being said, I created a surf and turf taco for you guys because it was just so good that I couldn't help myself and bring it into taco form. So if you're interested in trying that out, go ahead and check out the show notes before you leave the episode today. Alrighty, guys, let's jump on in. So like I mentioned, over the last several weeks, I have been reading a book that has been really mentally preparing me for this weekend that I am about to take on. And there have just been so many things that have really resonated with me. I know I post a lot of things to my stories. If you don't follow me on Instagram already, I hope that you'll take the chance to go and do so because I've been sharing a lot of these transformational things to there. But I really just wanted to dedicate this episode today to putting the finishing touches on building your confidence and being able to let go of the outcome, let go of the things that you can't necessarily control, just the things that don't matter, right? And really intentionally focusing on the things that do matter so that when it's time, you're able to just let it rip without any limitation, without any doubt, and just fully enjoy the process of letting it rip, right? So that's the journey that we're on right now. So I have 5 different stories that I want to share with the listeners today. The first one being called The Burden, okay? So I'm going to read this out, and then there's a little sports lesson that I will read. I'll talk a little bit about just my thoughts after reading it, and then the self-reflection that you can take upon yourself as an action item. So with that being said, first story, The Burden. 2 monks were returning to the monastery one evening. It had rained, and there were puddles of water on the roadsides. At one place, a beautiful young woman was standing unable to walk across because of the puddle of water. The elder of the two monks went up to her, lifted her, and let her down on the other side of the road before continuing on his way to the monastery. In the evening, the younger monk came to the elder monk and said, "Sir, as monks, we cannot touch a woman." The elder monk answered, "Yes, brother." Then the monk asked again, "But then, sir, how is it that you lifted that woman on the roadside?" The elder monk smiled at him and told him, "I left her on the other side of the road, but you're the one that's still carrying her." The sports lesson from this: play in the present tense. Always focus on winning in this moment, not the end result. After the game, learn to quickly let go of all of the downfalls and disappointments. How? Remember that everyone loses, but a champion does not dwell on his or her defeats. Give yourself credit for and celebrate what you did well. Grab all of the positive corrections and scrub from your memory everything else. This will help you lighten your load. So, such a good context to be able to share my thoughts around just previous workouts, right? And previous training sessions, previous races. How many of them have impacted not only mine, but I'm assuming a lot of other people's performances. If something happened in the past, you are forever like, nope, like can't do this. Or what if it happens again? And it just continues to come back and haunt you. How many of us are stuck on those certain things that therefore limit what it is that we are capable to do within future races, within future training sessions, right? When I think of always focusing on winning this moment in my training sessions, it just allows for me to think, I don't need to worry about the end result. I don't need to do that at all. I need to worry about just winning this specific moment. For example, I was talking to Dave this weekend, and I was talking to him about just certain parts of the race that I'm like, it's not my strong suit, but if I can go in to what my strong suits are, regardless of if I'm tired, heavy breathing, just, not feeling 100% myself, if I don't worry about all of the stories that I'm going to tell myself about how bad it's going to hurt, and I just focus on the task at hand, and I focus on doing exactly what it is that I know how to do, and just winning that moment, not worrying about how I'm going to feel afterwards, how much more of the race I have left to go, like just winning that specific moment, then I know that I'm going to be able to execute exactly the way that I need to. So guys, how can you apply this to your life? Are you so worried about the entire staircase, or are you breaking it up step by step by step? Win this moment that you're in, not a few seconds from now, but win this moment. And what does that look like? What are the key steps, physically, emotionally, and mentally, in order for you to win this specific moment? Guys, the stories that we make up in our head, I can promise you, are going to be 30,000 times worse than what's actually going to happen. So just remember that. So instead of thinking about those things, what if we instead think about the task at hand and think about winning this moment instead of the potential of what could go wrong, right? So here's the self-reflection from this. What burdens are you still carrying around from your sports or any endeavor for that matter that you need to leave behind? So something for you to maybe pause the episode and to think about, what burdens are you still carrying around, you guys, that you need to start to leave behind so that you can look forward with a brand new perspective. All right, let's move on to the next one. So this next story is called Working Very Hard. A young earnest Zen student approached his teacher and asked the Zen master, "If I work very hard and diligently, how long will it take for me to find Zen?" The master thought about this, then replied, 10 years. The student said, "But what if I work very, very hard and really apply myself to learn fast? How long will it take then?" The master replied, "Well, 20 years. "But what if I really, really work at it? How long then?" asked the student. 30 years, replied the master. "But I don't understand," said the disappointed student. "At each time I say that I will work harder, you say it will take me longer. Why do you say that?" "Well," the master answered, "when you have one eye on the goal, you only have one eye on the path." Sports lesson. Take care of the process and the results will take care of themselves. Athletes often worry so much about where they want to end up that they lose track of particular day-to-day things that they need to focus on in order to get there. Stick to the improvement plan, one mindful step at a time, and your talent will naturally grow. Excellence does not happen overnight or in a sudden flash, and therefore it should be properly nurtured. The first thing that I thought about when I read this is something I've talked about in previous episodes, but just I thought about burning out, overtraining, thinking that you have to do more in order for it to lead to more. But when I talked about this in my less is more episode, is that more is not always more, right? Less can be so much more. And so when I think about this, I just want to reiterate that we need to not think about working hard being the only measure of success or the only way that we can get to where it is that we want to go. I'm not saying that you shouldn't work hard, but there's something that I think that's missing from just working hard. And what I think is missing, especially when it relates to this story, is just being able to intentionally put focus and effort on things that matter to us, that are most important to us, and then pair that with celebration and gratitude, right? So it takes this idea from I have to do more, I have to be more, I always have to be on top of my game and be doing this for hours upon hours. It takes the attention away from that and instead focuses on, okay, maybe I have 10 minutes today, 15 minutes, however long, right? Or maybe I only have this much in the tank today. What can I do with the time and the resources available in order to put the most productive and intentional effort into what it is that I'm trying to accomplish, right? And I think that this is such a great way to go about it. And not only, again, going about it with this idea of I just have such an intentional focus and I'm super mindful of what it is that I want to accomplish and what it's going to serve a purpose for. But then the part that I feel like we miss so often is just being able to pair that with celebration and gratitude. For example, in today's workout, I am putting the finishing touches on my training. Like I said, I'm in the taper phase now. So bringing my volume down and really just working on very specific intentional things. And so today was all about power and fast twitch muscle, just priming them, developing them, especially for some of the crazy races that I'll be doing. And when I got done with the session, it was really easy to think about the things that didn't happen, even though I was super intentional and I got data and the things that I wanted to get out of. It was still really easy to be like, oh, well, I didn't hit this pace or I didn't do that, right? And it was like, well, wait a second. I hit like 136 pace on the row, which is the fastest that I've hit. I've hit, certain calorie counts that I haven't been able to hit yet in training within a 30-second max effort. And it's like, let's look at all of the things that went right. And even for the things that maybe aren't there yet, let's look at those things with, wow, like I am so grateful for where I'm at because a year ago, maybe even a month ago, I couldn't even like get close to those certain things. And what does that do, you guys? It puts focus on the process. It puts the focus back on the most important thing, which is the journey to getting there, right? Let's enjoy this process of becoming by being super grateful for all the things that are happening for us, all the things that we are accomplishing, realizing that not every day we're going to PR and not every day that we're going to be our best, but that we have this beautiful life and opportunity every single day to show up better than we were yesterday. That's what we should be focusing on. So instead of drilling yourself into the ground saying, I'm going to work harder, let's work more intentionally. And let's do that with celebrating how we're showing up and being super grateful for the process itself. So here's the self-reflection for you is, am I just mindlessly working hard or am I aware of what it is that I'm doing? Moving on, next story is the frog and the centipede. A frog meets a centipede and after watching it for a while says, "It's unbelievable. How can you walk so fast and coordinate all of these legs of yours? I only have 4, and I still find it difficult." At this, the centipede stops, thinks about it, and finds himself unable to leave again. Sports lesson. Okay, this isn't a Zen story, but I like it because it relates to sports psychology maxim. Overthinking leads to underperforming. Shift from conscious mode to automatic mode during competition by trusting the skills you have developed in training. Free your mind and turn it loose rather than becoming robotic. Let go of trying to control your skills. Simply allow for them to happen by reading and reacting on the field of play. This is so funny because the first thing that I thought about when I was reading through this was, oh man, the running journey that I've been on. I found out and discovered, because I like to really dig deep into my training, into my movement, and work on form and efficiency, found out that I am a typical heel striker when I run. And while it's worked for me in the past, if I ever want to go faster and be more efficient and more economical as a runner, I need to not do that, right? And so I've spent the last month and a half figuring out how to run correctly and basically reteaching myself how to run. And it has been so frustrating and all over the place, and new muscles are getting worked and I'm super sore, and oh my God, my poor feet and Achilles and calves. Like, if you've done this, you'll know. But anyways, I digress. All of that to say is that when I was overthinking how I needed to strike my foot, it became a lot harder. My heart rate started to spike. I was mentally in my head. I definitely wasn't enjoying it. And I was just like, when is this ever going to work for me? Right? Like, I couldn't actually get through a workout properly because I was getting so fatigued mentally that I just couldn't. Right? During High Rocks a couple of weekends ago, I literally was just like, I'm not going to think about it. I'm going to do what my body's going to do. And I'm just going to let it rip. I'm going to just freaking run and enjoy the hell out of running fast. And guess what happened? I had great running form and my body felt amazing. And I wasn't overthinking it one bit. I was just sitting there gliding through the air with a big smile on my face, being like, hell yeah, I am so world championships ready. Everyone better watch out. Well, not really, but I felt on top of the world. So all that to say, you guys, do you find yourself at the starting line or even at the beginning of a workout overthinking everything, just over and over and over again, just thinking about something, stuck on something, maybe just a small, simple detail? Well, then this is something that you might want to listen to, right? As this sports lesson depicted, is that we need to not overthink things. We need to enter a flow state, right? That zone where we just let go and we just allow our body to do what our body knows how to do best. And so how in the world do we enter flow phase? Well, there's a few things for me that have really helped me enter that phase. And 3 things are what I think about. The first thing is bringing intentionality, right? Bringing intentionality to the training sessions that I'm doing that allow for me to just focus on one thing that I'm trying to accomplish, like bringing intentionality even to when I race. Like, what is it that I want to feel? How do I want to measure success by the end of this? That's bringing intentionality to certain things, right? So giving myself a singular focus to not worry about an outcome or anything about the process, just literally being able to let go and just really zone in on something. The other thing is I visualize, right? Is the last couple of weeks I've also been focusing, in addition to my training, whether it be just for that training session or for the future races that I'll do, is I'll close my eyes and I will feel it. I will breathe it. I will see it. Everything that I want to do, from the warm-up that I want to do to how I'm going to feel on the starting line and what I want to do on the starting line, to me running through every part of the race, to some of the things that I'm hoping are going to happen and feel so confident that they will. And, you know, me running across the finish line and doing it with just so much energy and excitement that I freaking did it again and I earned another mark. So visualization, right, is being able to visualize what it is that you want to do. So that way, when it's time to do the thing, your body already knows how to do it because that pathway has been created. And then the last thing is getting into peak state for your competition, right? What is that peak state for you? Don't let it get twisted. Peak state doesn't mean that you're riding at a level 10 and you're going like bouncing off of the walls. No. Peak state looks different for everyone, especially in a competition phase. Are you the person that needs to bounce off the walls and do jumping jacks and get really hyped, right? Are you really chatty Cathy? Or are you the person that needs to be in more of a Zen mode, be a little bit more private and calm, right? Focus on breathing. Whatever that is for you, you should start to identify those things, right? So when you show up to the event, you can show up in the right state. You've already visualized everything that you can possibly visualize, and you're super intentional about what your measure of success is and what you want to accomplish, right? And that, when the buzzer goes or when the gun starts, or I guess for us they say deca, mile, or whatever race you're doing, whatever that is, right? You're able to just let go and let in the enjoyment of just being there in that moment. So here is your self-reflection piece here. If I won't trust my sports skills in competition, then why am I working so hard to practice them? Oof, just such a good one to really make you think. Alrighty, moving on to the fourth story, which is the king and the peace contest. There was once a king who offered a prize to the artist who could paint the best picture of peace. Many artists tried and submitted their work. The king looked at all the pictures. There were only two that he really liked, and he had to choose between them. One picture was a calm lake, perfectly mirroring the peaceful, towering mountains all around it. Overhead was a blue sky with fluffy white clouds. It was a favorite of all who saw it. Truly, they thought it was the perfect picture of peace. The other picture had mountains, too, but these were rugged mountains and bare. Above was an angry sky from which rain fell and which lightning played. Down the side of the mountain tumbled a foaming waterfall. A less peaceful picture would be difficult to imagine, but when the king looked closely, he saw beside the waterfall a tiny bush growing in a crack of the rock. In the bush, a mother bird had built her nest. There, in the midst of the rush of the angry water, sat the mother bird on her nest in perfect peace. The king chose the second picture, and he said, "Peace does not mean to be in a place where there is no noise, trouble, or hard work," explained the king. "Peace means to be in the midst of all of these things and still be calm in your heart. This is the real meaning of peace." Sports lesson. Real peace comes from within. A state of mental calm can be maintained even in the midst of all the hoopla and distractions surrounding a big game or situation by breathing deeply and concentrating all of your energy on the purpose at hand. Nothing external can affect you internally without your permission. So maintain a winning feeling regardless of circumstances. I just love that. Nothing external can affect you internally without your permission. Doesn't that feel so empowering to know that you hold the key, right? That you have the permission to allow certain things in and to say, nope, I'm not allowing you in. You're just not serving me today. I couldn't agree more with this, right? As far as peace is not about always setting up the perfect situation and being in the perfect situation. Granted, I know that I think of like a cozy morning where the sun is shining and you've got a nice warm drink and you're just all like snuggled up and things are good and you're just peaceful and calm, right? Like I love that. Everyone loves a good moment like that. But how amazing is it that in the middle of the madness that is this life and that's all going on in this world, that we have the opportunity to find calmness within our headspace and within our heart, because we are giving ourselves permission to do so and only allowing certain things to come into our sphere because we choose them, because we believe that they are important. So guys, remember that nothing whatsoever is perfect. So why do we set expectations around it? Why do we shoot for perfection when that is going to only eventually shoot us in the foot? One thing, if you struggle with perfectionism and always trying to set up like the perfect situation so that you can find peace more easily, is I would quite honestly, in your training or just in places of your life, set up a training session with your training partner where you insert in surprises and things that you don't know that are going to happen and a little bit of dysfunction, right? Like if I was training with Dave, Dave could be like, all right, you're getting called to the starting line. Your warm up is cut short. Ready, set, go. right? That is something that would legitimately freak me out because I am someone who likes to warm up for like an hour. I like to roll out. I like to dynamically stretch. I like to activate. Then I like to get all the stations warmed up. If he was just like, you got 5 minutes to warm up for a race that you've been preparing for all year, like I would poop my pants, right? So that would be a great opportunity for me to practice is things like that. So how can you insert in a little bit of dysfunction, a little bit of surprise, a little bit of unknowingness into your session so that way you can test one of the most important traits and characteristics that I think an athlete can have, which is the ability to adapt. Guys, the ability to adapt is by far, I'm dead serious, one of the most important things that we can do where you just don't allow for anything to phase you. So how can you, in the upcoming time or weeks that you have, how can you build adaptability? How can you find peace in knowing that not everything's going to be perfect, but regardless of what's thrown your way, you can be like, oh, not a big deal. I'm just going to tap into this, right? Be able to tap into things that are most important to you, into plan B, whatever that might look like. Okay. So here is the self-reflection for you. Flip to it. Self-reflection. Do I keep cool and composed in the heat of competition? Really good thing that's going to give you the answers to things that you need to know. Alrighty, you guys, it is the final story. And this story is called The Painted Tiger. A monk lived in a cave in the mountains, and he concentrated his time on meditation, getting to know himself, and making a painting of a tiger on the wall where he dwelled. It was incredibly realistic, and when he was finished, he found that he was frightened by it when he looked at it, and therefore couldn't even stay in his own cave. Sports lesson. Look at sports participation for what it truly is, rather than turning it into something that it is not. Most performance anxiety stems from our imagination running wild. Instead, think of yourself as the hunter on the field and the competition as just a painted tiger. You get to choose the pictures in your mind, so create a mental image of the current challenge that will provide you with a focused and fearless emotional reaction. Think of yourself as great waves instead of creating a picture of a tiger. Guys, I will say this again. The stories that are in our head are always way worse than what it actually is. The things that we will project outwardly will sometimes limit us more than anything externally ever will. So think about how powerful it is that the success that you want, the things that you want to feel, are already within your control, are already within your power. It's just the ability to really examine what's going on in your head and create mental images. Use your imagination to your power rather than to your demise. This is an opportunity, you guys, to practice positive imagination processes and pair that with mental cues in your practice, in your training sessions. One of the things that I've done as of recently, again, in addition to intentionality, visualization, celebration, and gratitude, right? Bringing all those things together has really helped me, but I have certain mental cues, which are I can be calm and strong at the same time. So in the moments when I'm on the bike and I start to feel my heart rate rise and things start to get a little bit harder, I let my shoulders relax as I take a deep breath and I say, I can be calm and strong at the same time. That is just something for me that has really hit and has allowed for me to just remember I'm alive, I'm breathing, I'm fine. I might be a little bit uncomfortable, but I'm fine. I can be calm in this moment and still execute in the way that I want to execute. Other things that you guys can do, if it's not a motivational mental cue, are things to distract your mind, like counting. I know when I'm on the ski erg, for example, I'm counting how many strokes I'm doing, right? How many breaths I'm doing. And I'll just go all the way up between 8 and 12 because I know that that's how much it takes for me to get to a certain distance. And then I repeat that count all over again, right? And before I know it, I'm done with the 500 meters. And I'm like, okay, boom, on to the next thing. Let's use all of these resources within our power to create the outcomes that we want, to create, more importantly, the feeling that we want to have, rather than using our imagination against us. Your self-reflection for this one: do I use my imagination to ready my focus or increase my fear? And how can you instead, you guys, use more of your imagination to ready your focus? How can you stop those thoughts within your head that don't matter, or not necessarily stop them because they never go away, but how can you turn the dial down on them? Be able to call them out and say, I see you and I hear you, but I'm not going to listen to you. Here's where I want to leave you with today, is actually practicing this, right? And I'm going to practice this out loud with myself and give you guys the opportunity. If you're on the road, please don't close your eyes, but give you guys the opportunity to close your eyes. Take a big, deep inhale in through the nose and big exhale through the mouth. Let your shoulders drop. Let your face and your jaw become relaxed. All of the things within your hands, maybe within your feet, just certain things that like to clench in moments where we feel overwhelmed or just like we're on a roll, like we're going. Just let all of that fall. And as you close your eyes, I want you to mentally picture this with me. I just got done with my warm-up and I'm taking a few minutes of rest. I get called up to the start line. I hear my name and I hear my crowd, my little cute crowd full of all of my underdog team and Dave. And I see them off to the side and I just have like the biggest smile in the entire world because I know that they are there with me every single step of the way. And as I'm sitting there just gloating and celebrating in the moment that here I am, last year, I was on the sidelines just dying to be a part of this group of women, to be a part of the top 15 in the entire world. And here I am, I get to actually live out that dream today. So therefore, I have already won. It doesn't matter what happens. It just matters that I'm here and I get this amazing opportunity to push the boundaries with other women that are going to do the same exact thing. That together, this is an opportunity for all of us to elevate and step out of comfort together. As I'm sitting there waiting for the final countdown, I'm closing my eyes and a smile comes to my face and I think of Joy at the console. And if you don't know what I mean by that, you can go back to my last episode where I talk about the stuff from Inside Out too. But I see her there, just getting ready to step up. All of a sudden, she starts to glow and sparkle, and she steps up to the console, getting ready to do her work. And I just feel these goosebumps and this overwhelming feeling of just gratitude and joy. And I see her like get this little smile on her face and you can just tell by her energy that she's ready to rumble. She's ready to let it rip and there's nothing that's going to hold her back. And I open my eyes here at the starting line and I look at the path in front of me. And I think the only thing that I have to do in this moment is just enjoy it. To win this moment. Not worrying about any other of the moments in front of me. Just win this moment right here. I smile. I take a deep breath. The countdown hits 0. And I'm off. And there I am, one step at a time. Breathing nice and calm. I'm taking my steps towards breaking through the barriers, overcoming limitations, and becoming the absolute best version of myself. Thank you guys so much for showing up for you today, and I truly hope that this episode has helped. If it did, be sure to share this with other people that need to hear this message today and rate and review the podcast if you've not done so already. I'm sure I'll have something great for you guys next week as it is the final countdown to Deco World Championships. But until then, you guys, I hope you have a wonderful week, and I will see you guys next week for another episode of Taco About It Tuesday. See you then.